Generic payment strategies may be all right for some of us. Maybe you just want to pay the minimum payment and never think about it again, and 10 years from now you'll be debt-free. But if you want to pay off your loan years sooner and save thousands in interest, then I have an optimized strategy to share with you today that can save you thousands and years off of your payment plan. That strategy is flexible, low stress, repeatable, and if you carry the fundamentals of this strategy forward beyond your debt freedom date, then it will supercharge your ability to build wealth in the long term. And when we're done today, you'll get a free spreadsheet that you can use to design your own personal strategy that's aligned with your goals, your loan, and your cash flow. All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to look at 3 of the most common payment strategies. My guess is that you're considering one of these 3, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each, and then we'll talk about what a more optimized strategy might look like. And for each one, we'll do a monthly payment chart. On the y-axis, we'll put the monthly payment amount, and on the x-axis, we'll put months. And we'll use yellow to mark our minimum monthly payment amount, so that's how much we're required to pay each month. And we'll go ahead and copy this down to the other 2. And in our first strategy, each month we're going to pay right on that minimum monthly payment line. No more or less. We're going to pay exactly what we're required to. This one is the easiest. It's very set it and forget it, but we won't save anything on interest and we won't pay it off early. Is this optimal? Well, if you're not concerned with saving on interest or getting to debt freedom sooner, then this could be optimal. But we want to maximize our savings and become debt-free sooner, so this is not for us. And we'll call strategy 1 minimum payment. We'll jump down to number 2, and on number 2, rather than paying the minimum, we're going to pay just a little bit more. So let's say our loan requires a $300 a month payment. We might pay $350 a month, and we'll probably still keep that on autopay just to keep things simple. And over time, as our income increases, as we get comfortable with that extra payment, we might increase it over time until the loan is paid off. Overall, this is smooth and relatively easy. It's going to save us some money and some time, so we'll make the chart a little shorter here. But because this strategy has a bias to pushing our extra payments to later in the life of the loan, it's going to be inefficient. And because of the bias toward consistency, we're going to leave money on the table, which means missed potential for paying it off sooner. And we'll call this the Autopay Plus strategy, because we're still using autopay, but we're just paying a little bit more than the minimum payment. And in strategy 3, we're going to front load our extra payments. We'll call this our max payment strategy. Front loading every single resource we can spare into each monthly payment, starting at month 1, is the most efficient path. But this hardcore strategy is not optimal for most people for 3 reasons. First, this no compromises approach can be painful. It's pretty extreme, and we should enjoy life now, even before our debt is paid off. And it exposes us to emergency risk, because we're being so lean. If we don't have money saved up, then if an emergency happens, we could find ourselves back in debt. This strategy also exposes us to discipline risk. Can we really do this for however long it takes, which is probably multiple years? So max payment is efficient, but it also has several downsides. Autopay is easy, but it's also inefficient, and it leaves a lot of money on the table. So what we need is a strategy that combines both the ease and sustainability of autopay with the efficiency of maximum payment. And the way we'll do that is by combining them and adding in some guardrails. Now let's map that out. So first we have our income. Hopefully we have some income source before we have to start paying down our loans. And the first place that income is going to go is just to your life expenses, your monthly rent, food, things like that. And we're also going to put our minimum debt payment here, our minimum autopay. And we'll put that as a drain, so the money just kind of goes out the door. We don't get to see it again. And once our monthly expenses are met, the first thing our leftover money should go to is to topping off our emergency fund. So for this example, let's say our emergency fund is $10,000. So that's the target amount we always want to keep in our emergency fund. That should cover us in case our car breaks down, or we have a minor medical emergency, or we have a friend or family who has an emergency and we need to help them out. And as our income comes in, we're going to fill up our emergency fund and we're going to keep it topped off. And by committing to an emergency fund, we're going to greatly reduce our emergency risk. Now, circling back to the Autopay Plus strategy, once our emergency fund is topped off and we have a good sense of how much excess we have at the end of each month, we want to make this easier on ourselves and increase our autopay to something that we're comfortable with. So then we have our income coming in, it's hitting our expenses, then it's going to our emergency fund. Once that emergency fund is full, that excess cash each month is going to flow into our student loans in the form of one-time extra payments. And we'll start to slowly fill up that big bucket. And as we fill up that bucket, this is where we'll get our efficiency benefit. So we'll pay off this loan a lot sooner and we'll save a lot in interest payments. But even with the emergency fund, the strategy is too hardcore. It's not going to be fun and it probably won't be sustainable. What about our non-essential expenses? Things like eating out, gifts for friends, going on vacation, all of those things that make life that much better. These things present discipline risk. If we're going to do this for years, we need to make sure it's sustainable. So we're going to circle back and we're going to add in a little drain before our extra payments, and we'll call this our fun fund. And we're going to drain off, let's say, $200 a month. And as this fund fills up, we'll have a lot more freedom to spend on things beyond just essentials. So this will greatly reduce our discipline risk. And over time, our student loans will be paid off. And once they are, this part of our workflow is gone. We no longer have to worry about it. The student loan pool is full and it's behind us. And once that happens, this is the chance to keep the strategy going and to choose your next goal. And a big obvious goal might be financial freedom or retirement or saving up for a house. And over time, on our journey toward, in this case, in financial freedom, we may find that we want to increase our fun fund, so we have a little bit more money there, keeping things sustainable. And we may find that over time, our base expenses will increase as well. You know, maybe we get a pet, maybe we move into a larger apartment, maybe we pick up a mortgage, maybe we have a kid. All of those things will increase our base expenses, but hopefully along the way, our income is also increasing. Now that we've got a more balanced strategy, let's move over to our spreadsheet so we can get a sense of how much time and money we're going to save. All right, here we are in our spreadsheet. You can get this for free in the description below. This is our student loan payoff dashboard. It's for a single loan. And up top in the dashboard, we have a few things that we're going to be optimizing for. So we have how much interest we've saved and how much time we've saved. And then we'll be able to track our progress here. Right now, everything's blank. So let's fix that by entering in some loan details. Let's say that our loan is beginning next year in September. And our full loan amount is $50,000. We'll say this is a 10-year loan, 10% interest rate, and our minimum payment will populate automatically, 661. And this is how much interest we'll pay if we pay just at the minimum payment, nothing more or less for the next 10 years. And as you can see, that's pretty significant. So if we do just the minimum payment, we're going to be paying $29,000 in interest by the time it's done, which for a $50,000 loan is quite a lot. All right, since we're modeling our optimized loan strategy, let's first put in our first increase in payment. So this is part of that Autopay Plus strategy. And let's give ourselves about 6 months to get our emergency fund up to the brim. And then after that, let's say we think we can afford an extra $200 a month. And once we've entered that in, we can see that our monthly payments will increase in March of 2027. And that'll be sustained until we're done in July of 33. And here we can see the result of those extra $200 payments. So in total, we would be paying just over $15,000 extra. And by paying that $15,000, we would save almost $10,000. So that's a pretty good return on our investment there. And then we would save 3 years. So we would be financially free from this loan 3 years sooner. All right, let's go down and see what this looks like in our amortization table. So here we can see our beginning balance going down. We can see our extra payment kicking in 6 months in. And then eventually we can see the loan zeroing out in July of 33. Now here's where we're going to mimic that waterfall chart that we made earlier. So first we have cash on hand. So this is after our expenses each month, how much do we have left over? And in practical terms, this would be something like your checking account, or maybe your checking account minus however much you have outstanding on your credit card. So let's say that at the end of the month we have $7,000 in our checking account, and our target is to always keep $5,000 total in that account. So then we have $2,000 that we want to transfer out of our checking account. So the next question is, where does that money go? So let's say our emergency fund has $4,500 in it currently, and our target is $5,000. So to top off our emergency fund, we'll take $500 out of this $2,000. So that takes us then to our fund. And let's say that we have $2,000 in our fund currently. And let's say we've committed to putting $300 into our fund each month. So that leaves us with $1,200 left over. And let's say we're doing this in February, so that's going to go here as our extra payment in February. And one of the nice things about this model is you don't have to do it every month. If life gets busy, you can skip a month and come back to it whenever. And when you do, you can make those extra payments anytime. It doesn't have to be on the first or the end of a month. Most loan holders will let you pay whenever through their app or online. Just make sure that that extra payment's going to principal directly, not future payments. Now let's model a few more. Let's do between 0 and 1,600, and we'll do that for 2 months, and we'll see what kind of a difference that makes. Now if we go to the top, we can see what that looks like. All right, here's our fund chart. Here we can see those extra payments. And with this model, we're going to see a lot of variation. So you might have some months where you're not able to contribute anything extra because you're short on cash. You might have others where you have a surplus. And let's say about a year in, we get a raise and we're able to contribute some extra each month on an ongoing basis. So let's say we add another $150 extra to our payment. So that brings us up to an additional $350 per month, plus whatever is left over from our waterfall calculator. And now we're saving almost 71 months. We're saving almost $20,000 in interest. So if we had started this in September of 2024 and we're doing these extra payments, we'd be 25% done. We'd have made almost $8,000 in extra payments. And each month when we make a payment, we would just mark that here. And once our student loan pool is full, our debt is gone, and we can begin flowing that cash into something else, which could be investments, retirements, saving up for a house. Whatever your long-term strategy is, you can use the same habits, but this time, compounding interest will work for you instead of against you. And that's a topic we'll explore more in depth in a future video. Now grab the spreadsheet below so you can begin planning and tracking your own path to debt freedom. My name is Kev. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one where we discuss strategies for paying down multiple loans at once.